a lot, now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep feeling it.
What's going on, people? What's going on, man? We're back in the building. You guys already know the time. Let's turn that off. You know the vibes already. Guys, please make sure, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you just smash the like button for me, man. Smash the like button. We're here for a bit of a chill vibe. I was sitting there the other day, just listening to quite a lot of people talking about Pep Guardiola, and they were talking about, how he's ruined football and, all of these managers and all of these teams, all the way down to, grassroots level and stuff like that. It's his fault. For some reason, it seems to be, his fault. You've got all these other managers. And of course, we'll get into that and have a look at these other managers, the Vincent Kompany's, the Xabi Alonso's, the Mikel Arteta's, Slot, so many managers out there who have kind of tried to copy, what Pep Guardiola does. And I'm just trying to figure out really and truly to myself, like, is it really that he's ruined football, or, is that just a misconception, in itself? But of course, I can't do this today, by myself, man. And I said, it'll be good to chop it up with my guy, Jerry. Big up, bro, man. Love for you joining in this afternoon, man.
What's going on? I'm contemplating. Should I even get the old setup out? Should I get the camera out and the ring light and
bro,
show my face? But
listen, don't worry, man. If you want to get it out, then but my bro, you do that. If not, come on, man. You already know what it is, man. But no, like you know what it is, yeah. And of course, like we'll chop it up and big up everybody, watching this. Whether you're watching this on a replay, whether you're here live, whether you're on Twitter, I don't really care, man. Like I feel like this is just one of them kind of conversations that not many people are really having anyway. But more importantly, I kind of wanted to understand why, if I'm being honest, And again, if you're watching this on the replay, leave your thoughts and stuff in the comment section. I will reply back to, any of the messages and stuff like that. Big up Alexander in the building. Hope you're doing well this afternoon, man. But Jerry, man, chat to me, bro. Because obviously, we hear people talk about it and, I know a little bit anyway. Again, you can obviously explain this yourself, but I know kind of what you like in terms of your preferred style of play. I think I've heard you speak about like Jose Mourinho in terms of what he did, especially at when he was at Chelsea, the first time, and that style of play in general. Chat to me, man. Like, is it really just as easy as saying it's because of Pep Guardiola? That's why football, from what people are telling me, football is robotic, it's boring, grassroots level, they get a man to, play up from the back and stuff like that, etc., man. But of course, you manage at grassroots level as well, so you'll be able to kind of, fill us in that part, man. Chat to me.
Look, if we're being brutally honest, let's just put it like simply in layman's terms, he has not ruined football, but his style of football has impacted the world of football. Like, it's in everywhere. You go to Poland, they're trying to play at the back. You go and look at in Ghana, they're trying to play at the back. There you go, look at all these different teams, and they're all trying to go and play at the back. Now, the reason why people are doing that isn't that, and I don't think he's ruined football as a result, but he is the blueprint on how to go and win multiple titles, win games, win titles, win Champions Leagues, win everything there is to win in football. Most decorated manager right now will probably end as the most decorated manager of all time. He is showing the world that this style is conducive to winning. Now, of course, you can view it as he's ruined football and made it robotic. But if the aim of the game is to win, if put it this way, if the aim of the game is to win, for me, it's the equivalent of, saying Wenger ruined football or Wenger ruined the Premier League because before that, players were drinking beers after matches and smoking cigarettes in the change rooms, and he changed the culture. And now you've got to be a professional. And it's like everyone's doing that now. Well, of course they're doing that because that is what works. That is, it works. So unfortunately for everyone else, but for football, Pep's style has shown, and how he's been able to evolve it, has shown that with the principles of it, anyway, are principles that don't guarantee winning football, will give you the best chance to win games of football. Now, that's at different levels. What you've got, though, and the problem you have is when people try to apply it, when A, they haven't got the players with the technical ability to do it, and B, and I think that's the main one. It's not even B, it's that teams haven't got the facilities, the technical capabilities, and the players, the understanding of what it takes to play like that. And everyone's trying to do it, and that's what people don't realize, that the amount of intricacies and the nuance to it, a lot of even just the general fan doesn't understand what gets into it, what movement the forward needs to make for Ederson to play at the back, what movement that attacking mid has to make for Ederson to even play that first pass. But people don't see it, but think it's as simple as we're going to split our centre backs and try play at the back, because that's how teams go and play. And that for me is, there's a kind of disconnect with obviously Pep Guardiola, because then what you do get is it not being played to the best of its abilities, and fans getting frustrated saying, why are we playing side to side and backwards, and why are we doing this, and why are we playing at the back if we're just do you know what I mean, we're conceding chances, it looks like we're being pressed and it looks all mad. And obviously then on the flip side of that, you've got teams that can do it really well, but every team seems to play this a similar way. Look, people don't understand that, maybe because the social media wasn't there in the early 2000s when you had Mourinho, Benitez, and all these managers here. Defensive football was the thing. It was, how can you set up a team to go and nullify the opponent? Every team was playing like that. And some people could have said that every team played like that. Like, Guardiola was the innovation of it. That's why it was a new thing. And there's always going to be someone new that's coming. But no one's had the success like Pep Guardiola. So that's why it looks as though Pep Guardiola's ruined football. But that's just a style of football that's dominating right now, and that's proved to be a winning formula. In 10 years' time, there might be a formation that's a two at the back, innit? Two at the back with two sweepers, and we don't play with fullbacks, and it might be something else. And then we're looking at it going, rah, like this person ruined football, because that allows or enables teams to win more. And I think, look, he hasn't ruined football, but you can't deny the impact his football has had on like grassroots and first team football, like throughout the world, let alone in the UK or wherever, in Spain or whatnot.
Nah, man. Big up Baz, man, in the building. Big up Marianne. Big up Steve as well, man. Guys, make sure you head on over to Strasbourg Steve's channel. It is in my featured channel list, man. But as Baz is saying here, man, good points. I can't even lie. These are very, very good points. And I think, obviously Steve's got a question here, and I'm going to pose this to you, because I know, Mourinho is kind of your guy. Like, what about Jose Mourinho? He's been managing in the same era as Pep. Has he contributed to, quote, ruining football, which he doesn't think is ruined? Football is amazing. What do you kind of think in regards to, like, of course, Jose Mourinho?
I mean, depends how you look at it, innit? The difference with a Jose Mourinho system is that he had great defenses that enabled it. Successful, great defenses, and people definitely took from that. Like when he was playing 4-2-3-1, when he was playing with like teams done that for ages. Liverpool started doing it. You had every team that wanted him. I mean, United wanted him at one point, and they didn't get him because they had Ferguson, but he was a name in the list. Inter Milan then wanted him. He then went to Real Madrid. Like, he was a wanted manager because of the style of play that they played and the fact that it provided results. He didn't ruin football in terms of everyone trying to go and play like that, because ultimately that style of football required him having the best players, especially in forward, like in areas or players that he wanted. And when you go down, the principles of what Mourinho's talking about is Mourinho doesn't settle for. Conte is very similar. They don't settle for like mediocre players to go and do something.
Yeah.
They don't settle for it. So if they're looking at a defender, if they're looking at a midfielder, especially in the forward areas, they're telling you, I want this man. If they can't get that man, they're gonna kick up a fuss. We've seen that obviously in recent years. The difference with the Guardiola style, even though he's got the best technical players, the basics of And these are the 3 principles. If anyone's listening and into football, the 3 principles that every player needs to do. Like, if you want to be a pro, if you want to play at a high level, you need to do very, very, very well on a consistent basis. Is control, pass, move. Those basics are the principles of what Guardiola's doing. So he simplified the football in terms of we don't need to have the strongest man. We don't need to have the quickest player. We don't have to do this because the ball moves faster than everyone. If you move off the ball, no one's going to really be able to keep up with you and stay with you because they can't read you and the ball. They can only do one thing at a time. And if you can control and pass really well, you can open up the opposition. And it's easier to implement across the board. Hence why, you go to La Masia and Rayo Vallecano, another academy that people don't talk about in Spain, but it's a really, really good academy. Atletico Madrid, their academy is probably the best in Spain, actually. Their academy is actually the best currently. They all go and do those things really, really, really well, extremely well. Of course, at that younger ages, though, it's difficult to go and coach defensive discipline. Defense had to be solid as a structure. It's very difficult to coach that within a young team, but to get them to do those basics really well ultimately leads to success. And that those teams can then build on that as they go up through the age groups. And when obviously these players become pros, that's when they're able to go and understand the ideals of like defensive stability. And you see at Atletico Madrid, but they're all just technically really good. So once you can master, like, focusing on those areas are the easiest areas to focus on, especially from a development stage. So Mourinho hasn't had an effect in that regard in terms of the football that's being played. But in terms of the money that's being spent and the money that needs to be spent to be won, people could argue, I'm not saying he has, but people could argue that he's ruined football because he came in and showed you that if you spend and you know what you're spending on and you're confident in what you're spending on, you put the bread up, you're going to win. It's like the ballers, isn't it? It's like the ballers that go to Tape G. It's like the ballers that go to Tape. Like, irrespective of course, there's breaders there that have shown that, yeah, you can game a girl and you can rizz a girl up and you can reason with her and you can do your thing. But they've proven over time, innit? Like, yeah, but if I spend though, do you know what I mean? If I spend the right amount of money in the right places, and my table's going to be full. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that type of situation, man.
Seen a couple full tables in my time.
I know.
Tape, but
he was a table connoisseur, like that. Even though the positioning of the tables and that.
You got to put the table in a certain area because remember you need to allow access for everybody to get in and get out, especially if they need to get in and get out, and where it's can be closed off just in case. You know what I mean? You want to? Hey, listen, man, I'm not trying to get myself.
See, I don't even know what's going on now, people. Listen, mate, you just stick on him right now. Ask him, guys. Any 18, 19, 21-year-olds, you know what I mean? Shout G. Do you know what I mean?
Listen,
you're paying you.
That life is now done. We're now living a humble life, man. But now big up Steve, man. He's saying Real Sociedad and Athletic Club have great academies too in Spain, and also Real Madrid's Castilla. Real Madrid seem to have quite a lot of youngsters because they seem to always like Kubo coming, coming through there, so to speak, kind of thing. And then of course now he's at I think was it Real Sociedad. So it's quite interesting to see Real Madrid have had a lot of these youngsters. But I think, yeah, as Jerry said, Atletico Madrid, obviously Steve saying here, Real Sociedad, Athletic Club. Yeah, you got to remember, all of these kind of teams, you might not Rayo Vallecano as well. Like, these players, you will see them later. And because you haven't clocked on to... Obviously, some people are not looking into, what team was he at before? Because obviously he might do a banging job at Rayo Vallecano, as an example, have a banging season. Barcelona try to sign him. All of a sudden now it's like, right, okay, he came from Rayo Vallecano. It's like, yeah, bro, like he's been there from the age of 15, 14, or, whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of players out there that will come through some of these youth systems. And of course, listen, look, the top clubs out there in football. So in Spain, Real Madrid, Barcelona. In England, you got the big six and stuff like that. You can see it already, even in England. Look at what, what's his name, man? There's that youngster. I think he just moved to Manchester City from Chelsea. Like, these clubs are all doing all of these kind of, because they're trying to snap up some of these youngsters, of course, to try and develop them to be able to play whatever way, they need to play. I just see that comment there. Big up Blues Clues. I ain't watched that for donkeys. The fans demanded these robotic pressing merchants with no flair or initiative. Now, if you're not an athlete, you won't make it in football. Hey, man, I listen. I don't coach or play football at this current moment in time, so I'd have to leave that one to Jerry. He would know definitely a lot more than me.
It's an interesting one because I hear Blue's Clues. I hear what he's saying. That works at the top level. Like ultimately, that athleticism is the. It's the not the outlier, but it's the. It's it levels the playing field, right? So the more athletic you are, there comes a point where it don't matter how skillful you are. I'm faster, I'm quicker, I'm stronger than you, I'm taller than you, I'm bigger than you, I can cover more ground than you. Over 38 games, I'm just going to be better than you. It really doesn't just because you go and put it through my legs and stuff. I'm just going to win the ball back after you, though. If everyone's fit, if everyone's strong, that's unfortunately that levels the playing field, and that's that ultimately leads to results, and that's proven it. If you go and look at American sports, like you have to match up on that because that is the bare minimum. Like that as an entry, you have to be an athlete. The idea though that like I don't like when people go a bit too far with it, right? Because you see, like nowadays, there's more of an emphasis on technical ability, especially at grassroots level. Players don't get turned away as much for being too small, for being, this guy's not. Gee, when you were playing, bruv, if you were tall, big, fast, and could run, bruv, you were going to an academy like that. From a young age, like that. It didn't. You could have been the smallest player. You could have been a Messi coming through the ranks. You are not getting selected. So this idea that athleticism trumps all, not really. That like players are more technical than they've ever been in general. Like if you had to just get an average player from like Huddersfield, he's technically good, technically sound. 10, 50, 30 years ago, the guy was dead, innit? The guy would have been dead. The same guy playing in that same position. Nowadays, they're good. Of course, you might not have as big of a gap. So the gap between like a Zidane and your just decent midfielder was big. Nowadays, it's not. But I don't think that's as a result of, you know what? That's because it's all about athleticism. And maybe it is at the top end. But in general, you've got more of a chance now if you're technical because people are looking from that side of the game. They're looking to be as efficient as possible. So, if you're running with the ball, but you're taking 20 touches to get to your destination, but someone can do it in 2, they're going to pick the guy that can do it in 2 because it's just about efficiency, innit? So you have to kind of marry the athleticism with the technical ability. But I don't think I completely agree with the idea that, if you're a technical player, you're not going to make it because you need to be athletic or... Do you know what I mean? Athleticism dominates everything. Unfortunately, it will do, but I don't think it dominates everything. I think in years gone by, it probably has done a bit more so because the game was different, even ref different and stuff like that, and that makes an impact.
I was going to say, the game it's not the same game as it was before. Like when I think about, let's say 10 years ago, let's say that would have been when I was playing football constantly, not just like bit part every now and again. So let's say 10 years ago, if I looked at how the game was when I was playing back then time, so you're talking about 21, 22, I'm like, in comparison to now, some of the challenges that you see nowadays, I'm like, brother, you get laughed at. Do you get what I'm trying to say for trying to ever, say that, oh yeah, that was a foul. What do you mean that was a foul? Maybe we're going to carry on. And that's at, whatever level, that you want to kind of see that. So Jerry's right. The game has been looked at, a lot differently in comparison to what it was back then. Big up TBG. He's saying football just goes in cycles. Tactically, player-wise, 4-4-2 will become popular again. You're already seeing the introduction of more athletes, especially in the Premier League. I hear it. Give me 2 sets, guys. Let me just bring it. Big up Steve, man. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Hope you are doing well. The Blues Clues. Imagine Maradona trying to tuck down the opposition with his belly. I hear it. TBG. In England, it has always been based off of athleticism. I got released from Watford, or he got released from Watford when he was younger because he was more focused on technicals rather than putting myself about.
Now about this, because the USA, you were just talking about them. That's our thing. Athletes in the Olympics, no matter the event, like if it's winter or summer, besides obviously football, one of our athletes, male, female, they probably gonna win gold.
On the podium. Yeah, they get on the podium easy.
It's been that way forever. But what the thing is that in football, I think there's a difference for me between like athleticism and physique. What I hear a lot of the time from England is size, how tall you are. I've heard multiple people say, "Oh, they said I was too short," or a former player or a current player will be like, "Yeah, I got released from Charlton's academy because they said I was too small or whatever." So I think there's like so many specific, because athleticism for me is running, jumping, physical endurance. But then there's the strength side of it where it's like competing for a header. Yeah, you may be able to jump higher than the other guy, but can you physically win the header off of him, kind of thing? So, because if the game was all about athleticism, like some people think it is, then the USA we would have been doing way better than we are, surely. Because like Anthony Robinson,
what I would say with that though is when it comes to the States and how they obviously operate, I don't think it's that. I think athleticism, unfortunately, is a massive part in football because, like you're saying, obviously when people talk about height and when they say I'm too short, essentially they're saying there's too weak, he's too short. As an example, I'm 6'4" and I've always been tall. I've always been just like, and again, for American sports, that's just a standard size. But in the UK, you don't get that. So when I'm playing, not only do I go and stand out, in my age group, I was always one of the tallest. So when I'm playing against people that were my own age group, at times it was like I was playing against boys against men. And that whole Yaya Toure against whoever, against that Minamino. Imagine
there would be like 5'9" or 5'10", like 9-year-olds playing against
exactly. So I'm a 5'10", 11-year-old playing against someone that's 4 foot something. It just looked it was easy. It was easy to the point where
carried over these years, bro.
Exactly, it was very easy. What I'm saying though, I think with America it's a bit different. I know we're going off topic, but if America went and if LeBron decides to play football, if Dwight Howard decides to play football, if Derrick Rose decides to play football, as in soccer, if all these players from a young age had put their attentions to playing football, these guys are the best players in the world. And America will dominate everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. America will dominate everything because not only is there naturally just, again, the pool of players that they've got is different. The way they filter out these players in terms of the best of the best of the best, and these best of the best are going to be all American sports players for Allen Iverson. If Allen Iverson's playing football, we're talking about someone that runs faster than Messi, can jump higher than Ronaldo at 6 foot. Like that's what you're.
It's crazy about. To think that these NBA players can jump so high. Like that's just mad.
And of course, and you have to remember, these guys are like, they've gone to go and play those sports because that's where the money's at. It's like, great example. If England, if all the footballers and all the athletes that you saw in England, right, they all want to go and play football, but if all of them just said, you know what, cool, we're going to go and play rugby, England's rugby team just gets better straight away because it's not dominated. That sport won't be dominated by all the athletes. But naturally, if you're a fast player in the kid in the playground, yeah, you might get into athletics and stuff. But in the UK, athletics isn't big. It's not like America. You're going into a sport, and the sport's going to be football. In America, you're going into America. If you're fast, you're going to American football. You're going to play basketball, and that's where the difference is. I think once there's a shift, once the America clock on that there's money in football in terms of what they see as a market, as a US market, you'll see a lot of these up and coming athletes from high school level, from elementary school, go and playing football. You're going to see a lot of talent, and then I think they'll be in trouble because we talk about Konate being this what an athlete he is. Like, come on, like imagine to LeBron, you got someone 6'6" that can move the way he can move.
Yeah. Kevin Durant, bro. Kevin Durant would be a horrifyingly good soccer player if he chose that, like as a kid. It'd be horrifying, bro, because he's got size, athleticism, agility, wingspan.
You'd be looking at players. You'd be looking at players that are like Haalands all over the pitch.
Yeah.
In their respective position.
Yeah.
And that's what will be mad. And you're seeing it where a 21-year-old can do what he's doing. I'm seeing people try barge him and it's not working. Like they can't get near him. Again, boys against men. You'd have that all across the pitch. And that's
why we've always had good goalkeepers. That's why
America start to invest into football.
Yeah. And that's also why the US have pretty much always had like standout players have been goalkeepers. We've had a pretty good history of goalkeepers.
Friedel, Tim Howard,
Casey Keller. I mean, the list could go on and on. Like, because that's mostly athleticism, reflexes sort of thing. But now it's got
like great example. Yeah, imagine like Gatlin or someone or Tyson Gay, instead of going into like athletics where the US get so much money, they get like 800,000 a run, right, in the Olympics. Yeah. Every race is at 800,000 in the account, right? Imagine they decided to just go into football. And you've got like where they're running sub-9 like it's normal. No allowed. Let's run in sub-9 like it's calm.
Fucking hell.
We're calling Mudryk in that fast and Pedro fast and Salah. Like we can't comprehend the levels of speed that these guys can go at and the athleticism that these guys are showing.
You know how crazy that is. I'm just thinking about it now. Like, you really imagine you as a sorry guys, I know I have to bring it back to him, but imagine someone like Trent coming up against a Gatlin. Yo, it's a long day, you know. It's a very, very long day.
Or like a Safa Powell or someone.
Powell, yeah.
I mean,
bro, that's even like Bolt's quite a tall. I don't know how tall he is, but he's quite tall. So imagine even someone like that. In fact, to be fair, actually, he would almost come like a Haaland, really and truly, someone who is quite tall for his age, you know. So
Bolt is 6'5".
6'5", shit, right? He's just taller than Jerry. That's mad. Jerry's quite tall as well. Jordan, big up Blues Clues. He's saying Jordan had a vertical 46-inch vertical leap that's like 4 feet nearly. Do you know how high it is to jump 4 feet?
Yeah.
Like, for you to jump 4 feet, do you know how high that even is? Fucking hell, like,
and that's a standing vertical as well, you know. That's a standing vertical. I can imagine.
That's like I say. Listen, look, man. For me, I think especially when we're talking about, you know, how, you know, in terms of why the game why the game is the way it is at this current moment in time. Like all of these points, man. Everything that these guys are saying, everything that we're chopping up about, it's interesting for me, because I feel like all of these are components more so than, would I say, Pep Guardiola himself having. Obviously, I agree that he's had a massive impact on football, just like a Cruyff did back in his time, you know, for there to even be a Pep Guardiola, you know, kind of thing. Yeah. I get all of that. But my kind of thing, you know, if we're like moving on, my kind of, not issue, because I don't really have an issue, so to speak, is when we're seeing stuff like, let's get this. When we're seeing stuff like this, now this is Mikel Arteta for Arsenal. When we're seeing stuff like this, now listen, right, wrong, like it, don't like it. I guess that's for Arsenal fans to deliberate themselves. They'll tell you whether they like the football or not. But what we've seen is he's almost like that kind of baby, you know, Pep Guardiola kind of guy, in terms of he's obviously come through that school. He's obviously been with Pep Guardiola, been the assistant manager. He's there on the training pitch. He knows it. He's got his own probably mind in terms of what he wants to do, but you're going to take a lot from the best manager of this generation. You're going to do it. Yeah. Like, just subconsciously, it's going to be something that when you're starting to think about, I want to get into a managerial career, bro, I'm definitely taking a lot from what I have learned from Pep Guardiola. And by the way, I also think that Pep Guardiola learned quite a lot from Mikel Arteta. I feel like they worked in tandem together when they were out there, you know, of course, on the training pitch. And then you've got other new managers, you know, on the block, where you got people like Vincent Kompany. We've seen what he was able to do. He's now at Bayern Munich. We've seen what he was doing at Burnley. Burnley were playing football in the Championship anyway, even in the Premier League. They were playing football that I was like, I could see, as Jerry said, you ain't got the facility, like what's his name says, you ain't got the facilities for that, big man. Unfortunately, you haven't got the facilities for that, in terms of you don't have the technical play. You have technical players, you don't have very good technical players.
The overall level.
Yeah, that kind of level. Yeah, like the level that you were trying to play football, which is why I believe Bayern Munich are going to be an interesting proposition next season, because I feel like he will have that technical ability in certain players, especially players like Musiala, like the depth, you know, there's going to be a lot. Even Slot, that's another manager that people, when I've read little bits about him, apparently he takes quite a lot. And even when I listen to this interview here from where this picture's from, when you listen to him, he talks a lot about Pep Guardiola. He mentions him. He references him quite a bit. So that clearly is a manager that he's obviously, he's learned quite a lot from. And then, of course, you've got Xabi Alonso, who, listen, this guy's probably taken from Pep, from Ancelotti, Benitez, and Zidane, and all of the Spain, the basket. Like, he's taken from all of these kind of managers. But again, it's that school of Pep Guardiola. But for me, I just look at it and think, it's like I said, and I joked the other day, how can you be mad at the peasants for trying to do what the king is doing? How? Remember, the king is the king for a reason. In this context, obviously, he's the best manager of this generation for a reason. Yeah. When you've now got the peasants, and not to sound disrespectful, but in reality, it kind of is in terms of how good this guy is. When you've got the peasants trying to, I want to be able to, I want to be able to eat lavishly. I want to be able to wear nice clothes. I want to be able to, have all of these kind of, but unfortunately, you don't really have the facilities for that. He does. He's got the money. He's got the club. He's got the whole facilities at Manchester City in order for him to do so. Go on, sorry.
I think the problem, not the problem, but another issue on that is obviously at lower level, right? Let's say, I know you use Vincent Kompany as a great example. Vincent Kompany, in order to obviously even get that Bayern Munich job, right, had to play a certain style of football. If he played a style of football that maybe kept Burnley in the Premier League, but it doesn't kind of coincide with what Bayern Munich envision their team to go and play and how they want to play, he doesn't get that job. And the problem you've got is a lot of managers, of course, they're looking at the next step. Yeah, so of course results are good, but they're also looking at the next step. They're looking at all right, cool, after this job at Wolves, what am I going to do? Like, am I just going to stay at Wolves forever? Like, I know Wolves are going to have a cap on what they can become because of obviously the money that's pushed into the club. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, cool, like, all right, I'm Gary O'Neill. Hopefully I can get that Chelsea job if it's available. Of course, it's not there now, but maybe another job that's going to come up soon, right? A larger job, maybe abroad. I need to show that I can play ball. So I've got to show that I can ball with these players that maybe aren't good enough to then get the chance to go and ball somewhere else. And that's what's happening now is these clubs all want to go and follow a similar model because it's successful. You go and look at obviously what Man City are doing. You go and look at Arsenal and you go and look at Barcelona. There's a system that works. There's a model that works. There's a style of play that works. You've got to show that you're able to go and do that. Fans want to see attractive football. You can't just, like, unfortunately, they play a lot of it as well. I know you're saying that, football's not as nice as it is. This is the football that fans want to go and see. Fans weren't comfortable seeing, low block, isolation football. Like, Liverpool wouldn't be happy if we played how Real Madrid played last season. Sitting back, giving the ball to Salah, just cooking 1v1. Like, you wouldn't be happy with that.
That was...
We're grilling England. England fans, England are getting grilled for doing that now.
No, bro. Listen. Of course, we chat, all the time, and it's actually funny because someone just made a comment talking here. Blues Clue saying it's not any one person's fault. It's just what fans wanted to see, so it became the norm. And Rationale is saying no reason why managers can't adapt Klopp philosophy. Mourinho, Pep, Conte, Ancelotti. You manage how you
Bielsa,
like at the end of the day.
You could throw in there as well, Bielsa.
Bielsa.
That a lot of managers like, I follow Bielsa. Like, so he's a
no. Listen, there's bare managers that people are currently taken from. Managers love Pep style, even if certain people don't. And I think that's for me that like, listen, I'm not saying don't manage in whatever way. Manage however you want to manage. If that's what you feel comfortable doing, and as Jerry mentioned before earlier on in the stream, if it's a case of, because we've looked at, okay, this guy has shown us that he's got this kind of blueprint, right, in terms of throughout his entire career, Manchester City, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, we've seen what this guy can do, right? In terms of the different styles that he's been able to implement for all three of those football clubs. No problem if you want to try and copy that. The problem I think that people are having is that, I don't know if you guys remember, last season, Arsenal versus Manchester City, 0-0. What was the first thing that everybody said during the game and after the game? This game's boring. This is a boring game.
Arsenal didn't go for it.
Arsenal didn't get... all of the things under the sun that everybody kept saying was, yeah, this game is just kind of dry, man. Like, I don't want to see this, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, for me, I thought like I like that game. I actually, that's one, those kind of games I kind of like. Of course, I want to see goals. Who doesn't? Like, football's there for goals. I want to see 5-5s and whatever. Yeah, those games are great to see on one side, but on the flip side of it, it's also a game where I'm like, well, this is just terrible defensively, because why is the game so high scoring in terms of one team is scoring 5, the other team is scoring 4 or 5? Like, sometimes I don't want to see that.
Goals,
unless but even then, I'm still like, outside of the goals, the game probably was actually boring outside of those goals. But a game like that, where it was 2 tactical managers, literally, it's like playing chess. I don't even play chess, but 2 managers trying to play chess in a game. They understood that, this game is like wildly important. Like, we need to understand that, like, in terms of for the title and stuff like that, that game was so important. So yes, they didn't want to lose, and maybe that took a little bit away from maybe going for it, so to speak. Maybe, I don't know, because I'm not the managers, I'm not inside their head. But the reality is, it was a good game of football. But the way that people spoke about it afterwards, they want to see. And again, no problem. And big up Alexander, you just said it here. I like Klopp's football end to end. I've got no issues with what type of football you like. Jerry likes Mourinho football. I'm not really a big fan of that. I respect it, but I'm not a massive fan of it, so to speak. Early Mourinho, so to speak.
Yeah, what would you classify Mourinho's football as? Is it always, because I wasn't around when he was at Porto, Chelsea, Real Madrid.
You know what, Jerry, you explain it then.
Yeah.
For me, I would say it was more like
one year he had Real Madrid scoring 160 odd goals in a year, but then the other, it's Chelsea 16 goals allowed.
Yeah.
The whole season. So
Jerry, how would you kind of explain? For me, like I said, I would look at it.
He seems to be kind of adaptable. He seems to be kind of different, but Jerry, go on.
What bit should I explain?
How would you describe?
He always had the same style as a manager, same tactics, or is he kind of like the Inter Milan and
Mourinho's football is Mourinho's football?
No, go on.
Yeah, for me, I look at it like Mourinho, Benitez, Ancelotti. These managers are very flexible in their style, and the reason being is that they go and scout the opposition and look to go and nullify their threats and kind of find out how we're going to go and take down what you're doing. They're not very, I play my one way and that's the only way I'm going to go and play.
Pragmatic.
In game, they can just change stuff. Yeah, exactly. Not necessarily even pragmatic, but in game, they can change stuff. They understand, like, all right, cool, I'm coming up against Pep Guardiola. I'm not going to go and just and try and go and press in their half, because we're going to get caught out like that. 9 times out of 10, they're going to go and beat us, passing the ball around us, and they're going to score. What we can do, though, is we can set up in a way that makes it very difficult for them to beat us. And at that point, then we can go and use our quality to go and win. And I think it was much more nuanced in the tactical ideology was so flexible. They understood the game at different levels. It wasn't just, I only understand the game when we've got the ball. Pep Guardiola seems like he only understands the game if they're in possession of the ball. When they haven't got the ball, it's a struggle. You go and look at like a Dyche, or an Allardyce, they might be more comfortable without the ball and they want to hit you on the counter attack. These guys can mix it up with both. I've seen Chelsea teams dominate the ball. I've also gone and seen them sit back and have to go and counter you.
Or when he was at Inter Milan.
That's what I like. I like the idea that you understand.
I think it's behind or something.
Yeah, I think it might be just a little bit delayed. I feel like every time someone says that, and he's just delayed a little bit. But even just to I guess to piggyback on what Jerry was saying there, like I agree. I will say that much. Like, because there were times he was, in my opinion, he was pragmatic in certain games. But what I will say though is, I've also seen this manager substitute a player in the first half. Like I think it was Sean Wright Phillips. I think it was the player who came off one game.
He did it to Balotelli when he was at Inter Milan in the Champions League game against Ruben Kazan or something. He subbed him off like first half. He was like, bro, I'm just not seeing it from you. Sorry. And he brought on
exactly.
something.
Exactly. So he is, and so I agree with the notion that he is a flexible, manager. So
is that why so many people think he should be an international manager, Jose?
Yeah. I think obviously I don't know about now, like what people think of him now. I mean, he's still Jose Mourinho at the end of the day, but in terms of during his kind of prime era and when it was slowly starting to like finish up. Whenever he left, what I would say, in Real Madrid kind of thing. Once he kind of left that, and it was like, okay, I'm just kind of out here, I'll manage, wherever. Let me just put that back up. Where I'll manage wherever. I think that's where people then started to see a bit more or say a bit more. Nah, he should manage international football because the speed of his game, his tactical ability, and all this kind of stuff, it would work massively, for international football. Do I agree? I don't disagree. Do you know what I mean? Again, I still think Jose Mourinho is actually a top manager. But again, it's like Alexander was saying before about the fact that he likes Klopp's end-to-end football.
Yeah.
I've got no beef. I don't care what people like, because at the end of the day, it's all subjective. Ultimately, do you know what I mean? Like, there is no right or wrong. It's just what you like to see. Me personally, I didn't really like Klopp's football because I never felt that this is a flexible approach to being. Yeah. It's not flexible enough. And then in turn, it's not then sustainable enough. Like, it will give you games, Norwich, where we
conducive. It wasn't conducive to domination.
Yeah. It was just more like short term. It was like short term. Yeah, you're like, this looks great. Like in terms of Liverpool attacking and this, that, and the other, and we had a great 2 years or whatever it was. But the fact that you always knew with Klopp that this was the only way you was ever going to play. So it's, you know what I would have preferred from Klopp? And I know going back to him, but I would have even preferred, if you did even play that way for 2 years and you won all those trophies, I would have preferred if you then said, all right, forget that now, let's do something else now. Like, let me evolve what I've already done. Because then I would at least show me a level of flexibility. Because of the way that you play, your style, you need your players to be at literal optimum level in order for this to actually thrive. If they're not, guess what? We get the season where we finish fifth, where the players weren't at their optimum level. And you could see, regardless of what he was doing, it just wouldn't work because your style of play can only work when Gini Wijnaldum, Jordan Henderson, Fabinho, James Milner, when these guys are literally, I'm in the peak of my athletic prime and whatnot. Cool. It can work. Whatever it is you're trying to do, it can work. But he showed me that that's the only way. So that's why I've always said, listen, again, like Mourinho, I respect what they've done. Of course I do. But when I look at Klopp's style of football, I'm like, I never really enjoy it like this, like here today, gone tomorrow type of thing. But at Pep, I've always said, bro, you can't not enjoy it. You literally couldn't. This is the only manager I've seen who literally changes it more or less year on year. You ain't even got time to adapt to what he was doing last season.
Bro, he does it mid-season all the time.
Mid-season, he'll change it, and you're just like, brother, we just got used to you playing three at the back. Yeah. Now you're putting two at the back. so what's good? Now we don't know what to do with this extra player because we're so used to it. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And these are the little kind of things when we talk about Mourinho, the same kind of thing. But when we're looking at these new gen managers or new age managers, whatever you want to call these kind of guys, like when I look at players, managers like Xabi Alonso, his style, in my opinion, is quite similar to what a Pep Guardiola is in terms of just how intricate it actually is when you deep it and when you actually look at it on a piece of paper and stuff
how much
like that.
He values territorial dominance. That's the other thing too that people don't speak about enough when it comes to Pep and Spanish football. It's all about territories. It's all about what little box of the pitch do I have control of in this instance. And then if I succeed that, I'm cool with that because I've got this now. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing too. So, he's a fucking genius, honestly.
Factual, man, factual. Big up, guys, by the way, man. Big up, everybody. Like I said, man, I just wanted to just really chop this up a little bit, you know, in regards to, you know, the Pep Guardiola thing. We'll probably end out in the next like 10 minutes or so, people. This ain't going to be too long. Blues Clues is saying, also, the style of player Jose thrived with is extremely rare nowadays. Great defenders aren't common nowadays, so he looks worse.
I don't think it's that. I think it's a situation where players now, because they've seen what's successful, don't want to go and be a John Terry. You don't want to defend like that. Like, you see it. They don't want to go and defend. Virgil van Dijk doesn't want to defend like that. You're trying to tell me someone with his size and his stature can't defend like that?
Yeah, no, of course.
Of course he can. Of course he can. We've seen he's been one of the fastest centre backs we've seen. He's one of the tallest, one of the strongest. You can ball out. He can do everything. But he doesn't want to play like that. Like, teams don't want to play like that. You need to have a certain mentality to go into games and be like, we are going to go and defend. We are going to go and shut you out completely. Like, you have to have a certain mentality. We've seen it in recent, even in this tournament and stuff, where I've seen Romania sit back for the majority of the game and win the game because their centre backs are just on it. They're like, we're not conceding a goal. We saw it with the Netherlands. The Netherlands decided to go and be really defensively solid against France. They got a 0-0 out of it. They didn't lose to France, who are the supposed favourites. So, yeah, there is an idea to go and do that. I just think a lot of players don't want to go and defend. That's the problem. Like, defending's the easiest part of the game. It requires the most concentration. That's what it is. It requires the most concentration because you haven't got the ball.
Well, the best example of that is someone like Fabian Schär, who I've watched for years and years and years. He can defend and he plays center back, but like whenever that guy even has a little bit of a sniff of an opportunity to get on the ball and either spray a 40-yard pass this way, that way, or play some football, he will always do it. Always. Like Fabian Schär, he plays center back and he does a good job there, but like he is a footballer. He's a footballer, bro. And he just likes to, same Rudiger sometimes too. He'll just like drive up the pitch with it. Whenever he gets the opportunity to take shots, all this kind of stuff. So.
I think the difference you've got as well is how the game is refed. Back in the day, as a centre back, you had a bit of leeway, man. I mean, you could lean on a man and it'll be all right. You know, like
Jerry. Listen, we're not spitting at players' foots anymore, my brother. Like, just allow the players.
Now there's VAR. I can't even.
Yeah, you definitely couldn't do that now. Nah,
man. You see even like you're there. You just, I mean, the corner's coming in, and you're like, bruv, your missus looks nice. You know, she looks nice. Is that your missus there? They're cheering for you. Cool. She looks nice. All of a sudden, you twist up the skin on the back of his top. You know, no one can see it as well. And he goes, oh, you're like,
guys, by the way, guys, please listen to the dirty tactics. No. Those dark arts. The dirty tactics that Jerry is showing you, bro.
Call me Severus Snape, man. Listen, the master of the dark arts. You see that? You can't listen. That's the difference. That's the difference. Nowadays, do you know what I mean? Like, any little thing you go to, like, defend or slide tackle to block a shot. You're getting a handball, bro. It's coming off your hand. It's a handball, and you're conceding games. And that's the thing that makes it very, very difficult now. Like, to be a defender nowadays is probably tougher than it was. You see, Bear like Carvalho, like sliding in and that. It's peak nowadays. You can't do that. He's got to stay on his feet.
Or like Bonucci, Barzagli, and Chiellini. Those three guys. They all loved to fucking defend, and they got away with stuff because it was just more lenient. Yeah, you're right.
No, it's true.
Even like offsides and stuff. You know, now before, like you could go and step up, or you would know naturally, like, all right, cool, like, we can't step up like that because if he's just even a bit onside, the lino might give it, and there's that understanding that we've got to drop. Nowadays, you're seeing with even like Virgil, they're stepping up, like confident that VAR is going to save their bacon. You know, that one time it doesn't save their bacon, they look silly because they step up and they're like, oh, and then it's Rashford through on goal. Like, I mean, it's just. Brother, why didn't you chase it back? But it's like, no, because I'm trusting VAR. Back in the day, John Terry's staying with him. Do you know what I mean? The whole way.
Yeah.
Putting in a sliding challenge and then they're there for the corner. Do you know what I mean? He's there pulling up his socks. That's what you had. You don't have that anymore.
That's actually a joke. Big up Dustin. He's saying going to Bayern post Barca and then City makes no sense to me. I think it made the most sense. Yeah, I think it made the most sense, to be honest. At that time, anyway, if you remember. You got to remember, at the time, I think when he joined Bayern Munich, they had just come off winning, like, what was it, however many trophies with Jupp Heynckes. So I felt like what they were trying to do themselves was they were then trying to then be dominant in the world of football all around Europe, across Europe, should I say. They were trying to become that team. So why not get the best manager in the world? You know what I mean? He's just done all of that stuff with Barcelona. He's available because he took that sabbatical or whatever the hell he called it at the time. He's available. Let's get him in, because realistically, if we were trying to continue what we've just done, especially, we may as well get the best manager. If he's willing to come, he was willing to come. For me, it made the most sense. And then City one made more sense just because they started to get a lot of the Barcelona like sporting director. Is it sporting director? They got someone
like Tiki Berristan and all of that.
Tiki Berristan, yeah.
The
started
academy
all of these
as
guys.
well. The
They had it
academy
like
on the rise.
exactly. And remember, I know we laugh at Manchester City, right? And obviously they got that 115 and all of that kind of stuff. But push that to the side. If you actually look at what Manchester City are doing, like I've spoken to a couple parents who have got kids in the Manchester City Academy. The way that they talk about this academy, from what I've heard, and again, I've not seen it, I don't know. So again, I can't vouch for it, so to speak. But from the way they talk about it, they almost explain it like it's another world. Like it's like they've created this Manchester City Academy. It's almost like its own village, its own world within the football club. Yeah. You know what I mean, in itself. And I was just like, rah. But what they're trying to create moving forward, I was like, all I'm saying is, if City do not get punished or they're able to push through and everything is fine,
they won't.
But bro, listen, I'm not here to say whether they will or won't. Let's get to that point when we get there. But if they do, yeah, you might as well just chill, because City will just become. You may have one season like a Liverpool. They might that'll be thrown in there because football just works in those kind of cycles anyway. But the majority, it will be like what we saw with Manchester United and Fergie. And I think it would actually be worse than that, purely out of the fact that there will be no one really else to catch up like that. Like, you just wouldn't be able to catch up with those kind of things. You think you would, like an Arsenal. Arsenal think they can catch up, but the reality is, I don't think they possibly could. Blues Clue saying, also the style of player Jose thrived with is extremely rare. Oh yeah, read that one. He subbed off John Terry in the second stint too. Yeah, I remember the Sean Wright Phillips one. Bro, I felt sorry for that. I was like, rah, like you actually subbed him off in the first half. Like, how do you feel? Imagine you warmed up. You know what I mean? You've had the pregame,
your family's there,
like
girlfriend,
your family's there. You know what I mean? Probably Bradley's probably chilling in the stands and that, and rare tear. And then the manager says, "Brother, come off the pitch, man.
You got to charge it, man. You just have to charge it."
Yeah, no, I hear it. Yeah, no, I hear it. Gramps is saying Klopp's style works the best against a Pep team, but he needs to switch the players out every other season to freshen it up. The players just get exhausted with that brand of football, and that was always my issue with Klopp. So listen, for me, I think me and Jerry, and in fact, I'm gonna actually get the Jerry's intro of my thing. Jerry, I'm gonna get you to send it to me, because if you guys listen to Jerry's intro, he says it in his intro every single time when you hear it. That whole when Buvac left, look at the way that Liverpool played. Now I know everyone's gonna say, but we won trophies. I get all of that, but I feel like we were already heading in that direction anyway with Buvac. I don't feel like having Pep Linders alongside Klopp made that like solidify, if that makes sense. I feel like Buvac would have probably have done the same things, and I feel like we would have seen better football during that period of time as well, which probably could have. But man was all playing three at the back. I remember playing three at the back. Like, we was doing different stuff under Buvac. Like then it just turned into, what it turned into, and then that was the story. If Klopp had another proper DM behind Fabinho, he would have won so much more. I don't think so. Klopp deviated from it a bit. He plays orthodox to the entire left side of his team. And
Arteta, I think.
Oh, okay. Left foot.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about Arteta. Yeah, I hear it. Graham's saying, I think Linders started to take over after winning the league. You could see our style was starting to change, but Klopp should have changed up the coaches more often. But he's a loyal guy to his team. I'm not going to fault man for being loyal, to be fair. Like, I don't feel like that's like a mad thing to be, but it's just...
he's overrated, though.
I hear it. So he's saying what? If, I'll leave that one.
No, go on. You're like my man from Wandsworth Prison, innit? You're sticking by your missus, innit? You're helping the pack a suitcase, innit?
Bro, anyway, Van Dijk has ultra instinct defending with his mind. I hear it. Yeah, I hear it. Top teams don't look for defenders that just defend. They want centre backs to play out from the back, and that will make defenders make more mistakes as they're not the most techie players on the pitch. I don't know. There's some teams where I look at the defenders. I'm like, some of these defenders are actually,
bro. Nowadays, you have to, bro. Like, it's not this idea that they're not the most techie. They're gonna make You're gonna make mistakes all over the pitch if you try and play with the ball. If your thing is about being expansive and taking risks at every area of the pitch, you're gonna just make mistakes. The difference is if you make mistakes at the back, you lose possession of the ball. We've seen Declan Rice pass the ball off the pitch in Euros, bro, and he's a midfielder. I might want to tell me he's techie. I've seen Trent struggle on the ball. I've seen McAllister give the ball away on the edge of on the edge of the box, and you can see the goal because of it. And he's one of the most technical players we've got at Liverpool. So it's the risk that's associated with playing in certain areas. That's all it is. You can have the most technical goalkeeper, bruv. One mistake and it's a goal, bruv. That's it. Like,
yeah, I know. It's one of them kind of things. Let me ask you a question, Jerry. Yeah, and obviously thinking back to like when you was in the academy, when you was in the academy or whenever your peak in terms of you as a football player was, whenever that.
So when I played first team games, then
yeah, okay, cool. So we'll say cool. So when you're playing first team games and that was your peak, so. I don't know how many years ago that would have been to now. Do you think if you was coming through now, do you think you would have come through effectively? With everything that you have now, because of how the game is today, in the position that you play, because you're talking about centre-backs and stuff, which has just got my head thinking, do you think you would have made it through now?
Look, you never know, innit?
Yeah, okay, you're true. Yeah, you never know.
There's things that happen, like
especially social media,
injuries, all that type of thing. But I would say,
just based off ability, do you think anyway?
Probably yes. I'm probably more suited to it now than I would have before. Like I'm naturally take a bit more risk and have done, and that was one of my issues coming through. I tell people about the time when at a certain team we were told, I'm not going to expose them, I was told to go and play at the back in pre-season. And obviously I came through the under 21s at the time, so went into the first team. We got told to play at the back. So I got the ball off the centre-back in it, and I've popped it into someone in midfield, like I've just zipped it in. And in the session, the coach has gone, stop. And I'm like, what? Like, you don't even realise that. You're like, oh, did someone do something? He's like, what the fuck did I just tell you? He said, play at the back. You don't fucking do that here. This is what I want. And he like got the ball. He's like, look, that's a fucking risky pass. Do you know what I mean? You're trying to stitch us up here. He was like, look, get it off your centre back. What can you see? And I was like,
start stuttering.
and then he's gone. Where's the danger area? And I was like, well, the danger is the space behind. He's like, well, then do it. And he just lumps it in there, innit? Lumps it into the mixer, gets it to the mixer. And that was playing at the back, bruv. Like when we were playing at the back was me getting it off the goalkeeper, entice the press, but then pumping it long. As the team steps up, you're hitting that dive channel, the same ball that Trent used to play. Listen, if people see that in my locker, they'll be like, "Raw!" That same thing of that right hand channel. Nah, mad. See, that's what I remember. It was just like, yeah, man, that was just mad. So yeah, I would have enjoyed it much more now, much more. But then, if I'm being honest as well, you'd have to. I think the ball is like you have to be like even now. You've got to be much more techier. Like you just got to play like. When you think of the best centre-backs in the world, they're not British, innit? They're not British.
No, of course.
I mean, they're going to come through. You're going to see a lot of Brits now playing football. Like, you're seeing it slowly. Like, but back when I was, like, playing, like, nah, man. Like, yeah, I'm good, but, do you know what I mean? Rio's no Van Dijk. You're not, like, do you know what I mean? The best centre-backs you're seeing in the world are all foreign because they're playing like that from young. I mean, like, yeah, I was good, like, as a baller for where I played. But if I went to Spain, bro, I'm just any other brother, innit? Like, if we're being honest, I might hit diagonal better. I might have, like, do you know what I mean? I could put some swaz on it or something. But, like that, like, that's not really going to help you. I'm quite, like, realistic with that, so.
No. You know that's. I just wanted to, like, listen. Look, as you said, we don't know. I ain't got no crystal ball to find out whether I would have made it in today's game and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I was genuinely just interested.
What about you, G? Or do you think you would have been done for being a wrong one?
They'd have been like, you know what? He's
First of all, man,
he's a bad but.
First of all, man, wasn't the wrong. But secondly, yeah, I definitely would have, because I remember being like at the I didn't make it through at the Arsenal academy, but I remember one of the main things that he used to say to me was, I was always someone who took time on the ball, because I love like I always wanted touches of the ball, instead of just, for them it was all about get the ball, release it, get the ball, release it, get the ball, release it. Like I needed to release the ball. I need to release the ball a lot quicker. You're taking too long with the ball, blah blah blah. But I was always like, nah, like you can slow the game down a bit. Like you don't have to. Everything doesn't have to be at 100 miles an hour. Like we can just pop the ball about, etc., etc. But they weren't on that. They were on the ball needs to be released, as you said. Because at that time when I was at the academy, at that time, weirdly enough, I was actually playing as a central midfielder. Don't ask me why, but I was just playing as a central midfielder. So he wasn't on me when he saw my size. I wouldn't say tall, but maybe taller than others. I wasn't your type of height, but I was just taller than other people my age. He looked at me as, okay, you should be the guy who's just kind of almost trying to bulldoze through the midfield in itself. Don't try and play with the ball, but I love dribbling. I want the ball. I'm going to try and dribble. I promise you I'm going to try and dribble. And I might not even pass to you. I just want to try and dribble, see how far we can get with the ball, etc. But he ain't even on that. He's on, get the ball, I need you to release it. In fact, really, it was get the ball. And at the time, it was get the ball, give it to Jack. Give it to Jack, give it to Jack, give it to Jack all the time. I was like, brother, why is it he can dribble with the ball all the time, but no one else can dribble with the ball? But again, that made me understand a lot more about academies, and in what Jerry's saying about other factors, it made me realize, so I think, Jerry, you've mentioned this before about academy players. When there's one player or two players, for example, where they're like, this is the one that's coming through, everyone else is just seemingly just there for him, for his benefit, in order for him to just be able to get better, because that's the one that they're realistically going to try and, push through. That made me realize that quite, very, very quickly. Like, that's how the football world kind of works. But yeah, those kind of things are quite interesting. But now, with the game being a lot more techier, 100%. Yeah. I would have more confidence in myself now, because I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so what? We're allowed to dribble. What, Konza's allowed to dribble out from the back? What, Matip's allowed to dribble out from the back? What, Brathwaite and all it? Bro, yeah, I'm definitely dribbling out from the back. No, I don't mind doing any of that stuff.
Do you think you'd be a left back if you were playing pro?
No, I think now I'd be I wouldn't play on the wing. I wouldn't play on the wing. I know that much.
Is it you don't think you play out wide? Do you think you're central player more so?
Yeah, I'd have to be, because I think even when I was fast, even then, again, with my style of play, I don't like. I never used to do the kick and run thing. I don't like all that stuff. Like, I used to think that was kind of basic. Again, dribble. And I just don't think being in a wide position with how they want these wingers to play these days, where it's like, I needed to get him behind. I can get him behind. But I kind of want the ball to feet, like a Saka does. I want the ball to feet. I want to be able to do whatever. So I think maybe more central player, potentially. If you are putting me out wide, it's going to have to be in that Saka role where he loves the ball to feet, and you allowing him to do that, then okay, fairs. Otherwise, nah. Like, I'd rather be like in an Erdegaard type of position where it's like I can always have the ball. I can just pop it off and, move if I need to, dribble when I can, kind of thing. And again, remember, I'm lazy as hell. So you see those positions where I'm not running into certain positions, or in your head, I'm not running into certain positions, but I'm actually thinking about the next move forward, though. I'm thinking like, okay, like if I just walk a little bit to catch a bit of breath, or to just find, because remember, you're going to start thinking that he's just kind of over there. So you may not even notice me all the time too tough, but I'm finding the next position after that. Let's see, man. But hey, that's a story for another day. Honestly saying, Liverpool have held talks with agents of Somerville and Gertruda recently. There are other clubs interested in the Dutch duo. This is from Graham Bailey. First, Dutch journalist De Vries has reported that Liverpool manager Arne Slot has been in personal contact with Leeds United man Somerville.
I want to say
Somerville Dutch 2.0 or something.
Sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say I think Somerville came through Feyenoord Academy. He did. I think when I was doing the player watch, I think he did. But
what is it? We're trying to make this a Dutch 2.0, and like, I don't need that many Dutch players in the team, like just give me a couple. England looks set to play a back three. I see this against Switzerland in their Euro 24 quarterfinal on Saturday. It's going to be Ezri Konsa, John Stones, and Kyle Walker. He's asking, do we think Trent Alexander-Arnold will be switched to right wing back role? No. Unless
3-5-2.
Yeah, that's
what they're gonna do. They're gonna play Saka on the left.
Okay, then maybe Trent. Then maybe no.
They'll play Saka on the left and push him on higher, innit? So he's just gonna do the width. Like as soon as he done that, I heard some report saying from the camp that that's what Southgate's looking to do. Do what Ian Wright's doing. You know, you put up that image.
Oh yeah.
I researched about it after the game, and they were saying that that's what Southgate might be looking to do. So you might have a situation where Trent does play, and in the middle you've got Rice and Bellingham, and then up top have Foden.
Hey, first of all, you man, respect me. First of all, I didn't have a beard for years. I didn't actually have a beard for, you man are gonna get me one day. On my other channel, one day when we're doing a show, I'll do a live and then I'll show you. I'll show it on that channel. I ain't showing you, man, on here. So make sure you head on over there. G was the original Martial.
Man, he was a lazy forward, like brother should be playing on the wing, but was so lazy.
Okay, you know what? Okay, you know what's so mad? I couldn't even argue with that. When I'm thinking about him. In terms of, as Jerry just said it there, in terms of the laziness. The thing is, it's the laziness that isn't because I couldn't do it. It's just,
that's the worst thing about it. That's laziness, bro. I don't know. Can't do it. It's like you're unfit, bruv. Can't do it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm trying, but I'm unfit. Laziness is like, bruv, I ain't doing this. This is long. That's lazy.
Yeah, I know. Because I used to sit there and think sometimes to myself, because it's so mad. Because in school, I used to play left back, innit? So as a left back, and I used to hate it because I used to always think, brother, all this running that man is doing down the left, like, I can't always keep doing this. Like, every day running up and down the pitch. Like, and remember, as a left back, them times there, like, you got to realize it's like, you're not always getting the ball. Like, I might make a run, but the left winger didn't want to play man in. What do you mean I just ran all this way and you're not going to play? Like, bro, I'm not doing dummy runs. Forget all of that. Like, we're not doing that.
You want it to be the system. You're like one of them, man. You're like Trent. Like, if you're not the system, if at every opportunity you're not getting that ball and you made an overlap and run, after a while, you're just tucking inside.
Bro, but Jerry, I promise you there will be times when Mal will play left back. I promise you, I'd end up in the front. Like, if you got two up front, back them, so 4-4-2. If I'm playing left back, it will end up being three up front. Yeah, three up front. It will just end up being three up front and three at the back. Like, because I'm like, it doesn't make sense how I'm going to keep making these kind of runs. Obviously, don't be fooled. I get it. Sometimes you do just need to make those dummy runs. And guess what? That's called not being selfish. But guess what? I was fucking selfish. And I'm not even going to apologize to all the guys that I didn't track back because I said, you run back instead. Like, I used to always tell the left midfielder, brother, you run back. How about that? And I'll go in your position for the time being because that makes more sense than me having to go all the way back and having to cover all of that ground and you're closer. Hey, bruv, like, play smart. You know what I mean? We got to play smart. Pep has extended pre-season using first half of the season to gauge the playing field, and then he comes up with a plan for the remainder. Yeah, I know. That's how I look at Pep Guardiola more time is he used the first half of the season as like a pre-season or like, pre-season. And then, that second half is what he was actually going to do. And once he gets all of his players back, and because you always notice Man City always start off not so great. They never really start off
new
well.
Signings as well.
New signings. Like, he's trying to give them enough time. Obviously, remember, they've got enough quality that in certain games it will just be an individual thing. Like they'll just win. Like most games. But even when they're not, I remember there was a season that they were 10th and then they ended up winning the league. And you could just see like that was just at the beginning. They're trying to integrate all of these players into the team. Now they've all integrated. But when they are winning those games at the beginning, it's not so much through good play because more time you're like, they're not really playing that well. What did people say last season for Manchester City? Oh, they're not really playing that well. Yeah. Oh, Manchester City, have fallen off. They've fallen off. They've just won 4 in a row. How about that? But guys, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Don't forget, as Jerry said, the 3 principles of football: control, pass, and move. Make sure you guys don't forget that. I like that.
If I had to add a fourth, it'd be first touch.
Yeah, but that's your control, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's kind of the same thing.
That's your
But
control,
guys,
like that's
Yeah,
encompasses
literally.
Make sure you guys don't forget that. Head on over to my other channel, people. If you haven't already, even if you just subscribe to the channel, please make sure you do so. Got a couple videos out there as well for you guys to check out. All different kind of things, different kind of conversations, reaction videos and stuff like that on Keeping It GTV. So make sure you guys head on over there. Steve, you got anything for the people coming out today, tomorrow?
Yeah, I think tonight I'm gonna do a Gremio versus Palmeiras watch along, 11 p.m. UK time. I'm gonna try and do that, and then Friday I'll probably do Spain, Germany, and then the Portugal, France, Venezuela, Canada. So just some Copa America stuff. My tooth finally, I'm not swollen up like a fucking Michelin man no more. So we back out here on these YouTube football content streets. So. But yeah, thanks for having me on, Jerry. Good speaking to you as well, bro.
No, come on, man. Big up to you both, guys. Make sure you smash that like button on your way out. I will be back tomorrow I'll do my England preview tomorrow because the weekend I'm going to be busy, so I ain't got no time for that. We'll chop it up. We'll talk about this England 3 at the back. I'm intrigued. Jerry mentioned 3-5-2. I think it might even be a 3-4-3, but we'll chop it up anyway tomorrow, and we'll see what tactics and what style and what players England will play in their quarterfinal against Switzerland. Make sure you head on to Steve's channel, subscribe over there. Guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.